I didn't become 65 years old and stand on the monitor, so I'm going to get an employee to do this. Okay? You see what I do? Yeah, and then it moves. Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
What do you mean that's not how it works? That's exactly how it works. I do all the work, I take all the risk, and you get all the money.
Pretty good deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kevin, do you copy? Fire it up, Kevin, fire it up.
Tony Beets' Viking funeral on Gold Rush might have seemed like a fun stunt. It turned out to be a serious disaster. Not only did it mess up the chances of getting a crucial permit approved, but it also ruined the whole season for the team and the viewers at home. Honestly, it just goes to show that what might seem like a harmless prank can have real consequences. Let's dive into the details of it. During the filming of an episode called 100 Ounces in 2014, Tony and his crew pulled off a stunt that went terribly wrong. They poured gasoline into a pond and set it on fire, calling it a Viking baptism. They thought it would look cool and tough, you know, to show their fiery spirit. But it turned out to be a disaster in real life. The fire caused serious pollution, and Tony's mining company, Tamarack, got hit with charges for it. This all happened in the Yukon region of Alaska, a place famous for its stunning natural beauty and strict rules to keep it that way. The court ruled that pouring gasoline into the pond and lighting it up was basically dumping waste illegally into a protected area for water. Plus, Tony Beets and his company didn't even report what happened.
Fingers crossed, better hope it works.
Which made things even worse for them legally. When the trial finally wrapped up in August 2017, the Yukon Territorial Court came down hard on Tony. They found him and his company guilty of a bunch of stuff, like letting waste end up in the water area and not reporting the whole incident. On top of all that, the footage of Tony celebrating in front of the flames, which got aired on TV, didn't help his case at all. It was like solid proof against him. Tony had to pay fines totaling $6,000 himself, and his company got hit with fines of $220,000. On top of the fines, there was an even bigger blow for Tony. His water license got suspended. Now you know how crucial that is for gold mining, right? This whole mess didn't just stop at legal and financial stuff either. It made people start thinking about what TV personalities should be responsible for and how their actions can mess up the environment.
Did you hear I call him an idiot?
Yeah.
Well, once in a while you gotta remind people, you see.
Especially in mining areas with fragile ecosystems, there's a lot of pressure to do things right and stick to strict environmental rules. For Tony, this incident didn't just disappear after the court case. It made it harder for him to get the permits and licenses he needed for future mining gigs. Discussions on platforms like Reddit have pointed out that this whole event played a big role in the ongoing struggle Tony faces to get his water license back. And you know that license is super important for him to keep mining. Despite all the legal drama, Tony still has a solid fan base among Gold Rush viewers. People dig his no-nonsense attitude, his toughness, and how he never gives up when it comes to chasing gold. But this whole mess was also a wake-up call for Tony and his crew. It made them realize how important it is to stick to environmental rules and laws. Some might argue that authorities are unfairly targeting Tony, especially since he's seen as a controversial figure. However, when you really think about it, allowing an employee to pour a ton of petrol into the water is just plain foolish. Petrol itself contains toxic compounds, so it's already a bad idea. And then letting them set it on fire? That's asking for trouble. What if they accidentally set themselves or the whole claim on fire? The thought alone is unsettling. And when you consider the risk to birds and fish from this prank, it's no wonder you start questioning who would grant permits to such a company. And then there's Tony's track record of being careless about land reclamation.
You know what it's gonna cost to move the back? I'm gonna go fix that.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
And his failure to report this incident only adds to the concern. It's surprising that someone with decades of experience in mining could make such poor judgments. It's safe to say Tony's in for a rough time with the authorities. And if that wasn't enough, Tony also has to deal with the uncertain status of his Indian River claim. It's like one problem after another. Fans are actually starting to realize that Tony's days as a miner and a show member might be numbered. The release of such toxic substances is a serious matter that could definitely jeopardize Tony's water license application. Moreover, the allegations of improper land reclamation aren't painting a good picture either. These negative factors, which have put Tony's water permit application in limbo, have also affected his pursuit of the Indian River business. It seems he also failed to secure the necessary permit for mining activities there. One would think he'd have someone handling these matters for him, like a lawyer perhaps. Where's Saul Goodman when you need him, right? It's clear that Tony is devastated by his inability to mine the Indian River, especially after investing so much time into the application process. By a lot of time, we're talking months, maybe even years, depending on the circumstances. Now Tony has to deal with other serious issues while trying to secure the permits needed to start work on the Indian River. It's a scary situation, because these problems could potentially ruin the entire season, and that's just terrible. Imagine the morale dip in the camp as they spend the season assembling equipment without finding any goal to show for it. It's demoralizing to say the least.
Nice to have toys. If you wouldn't have toys, you'd be around with loaders, excavators. It really is the way to go.
But Tony finds some solace in the fact that he's surrounded by good people. Despite the low morale, one of Tony's sons brings him some gold findings worth about $400, showing that there's still progress being made. Surprisingly, this small achievement becomes a source of motivation for Tony and his crew. Instead of moping around, they decide to experiment with new mining techniques and scout different locations for future operations. After all, idle hands invite trouble, and there's no room for that in today's world. Credit to them for making the most of the situation and deciding to press on with their plans while awaiting the outcome of their water license application, particularly the one needed for mining the Indian River. The Indian River has the potential to be one of Tony's most profitable claims ever, so it's understandable that he's keeping a close eye on the situation. In fact, he's been closely monitoring it for over 2 years now.
The rule of thumb has always been that your money should come out of the ground, not out of your piggy bank.
Eagerly anticipating the authorities' decision to grant him access. Fortunately, he has mining activities in Paradise Hill to keep him busy and generate some income while he waits for the necessary permits to work on the Indian River claims. Can you imagine if he had nothing to do while waiting for these permits? It must be one of his worst nightmares, considering the current situation and the regret over allowing Favron to ignite that petrol in the water. What were they thinking? Thankfully, they had the 950 excavator to divert their attention from their immediate concerns for a while. Tony wanted to gain an edge over his rivals when it came to mining the Indian River claims, so he faced the daunting task of transporting the massive excavator to their chosen mining areas. Luckily, all he had to do was dip into his pockets and purchase an old lowboy. Tony believed it was the best vehicle for the job because it would save the crew from the hassle of disassembling and reassembling the huge excavator. As it turned out, this task ended up being a bit of fun. Once the team received the 950 excavator and the lowboy, Tony took it upon himself to test drive the lowboy. So after loading the excavator onto the lowboy, he decided to take it for a spin, driving it all the way to the Indian River. He called it a test run, wanting to assess its performance firsthand. As exciting as this must have been for Tony and his crew, they were brought back to reality when Tony received a call summoning him to meet with the water authorities. Apparently, they wanted to discuss the water license, a thrilling yet nerve-wracking prospect. Soon, all that thrill quickly turned to disappointment when it seemed like Tony might have to reapply for the water permit. This news must have been crushing because it meant that the chances of the entire season going to waste were quite high. How were they going to handle such a setback? It's important to remember that the application process for permits can take months, if not years, to complete. And even just writing the application itself can take months. What a hassle.
It is nice that we got the water license. We've been waiting to sluice here for years.
Now, they're faced with the daunting task of packing up all their equipment and heading home without even coming close to their target of 9,000 ounces. Actions like lighting the water on fire seem more and more ridiculous by the minute. What a letdown. But Tony must have raised his kids right, because despite the disappointment, they were quick to remind their father that it wasn't all bad. After all, they had recently extracted about $400 worth of gold, which is definitely better than nothing. Talk about looking at the glass as half full. And this extraction marked more progress than the previous week's haul. With that in mind, it's clear why the team decided to stay resilient. Once again, they dug deep and found new solutions to the problems they could solve. They're planning to develop even more advanced mining techniques while also scouting for fertile ground to continue their gold mining ventures within and outside the Yukon Territory. They're already looking into the situation in places like Alaska. This way, they can focus on the bright side rather than dwelling on everything that's gone wrong. And really, what's a couple of months or years spent reapplying for the permit? Maybe Tony will use that time to explore his roots in other industries like agriculture, construction, heavy equipment operation, or oil pipeline maintenance. It's possible, but it seems unlikely. Tony is a skilled miner for a reason. He was drawn into the gold mining industry long ago, and its allure was just too irresistible for him to resist. It's quite a journey to stake a claim in the Yukon, especially coming from across the world. But Tony managed to build a reputation as one of the most prominent gold miners in the Klondike region. His ownership of the Paradise Hill claims and the Tamarack mines shows how his drive and persistence pushed him to become one of the biggest gold miners in Canada.
7 days a week, 14 hours a day. And that lasted for the full 6 months. No days off, no off.
Of the two mining territories, the Tamarack mines seem to be the more lucrative for Tony and his team. This brings us back to Tony's early days on the show. He first appeared in 2010 during Season 2 of Gold Rush, initially serving as a consultant. He provided advice to miners like Parker Schnabel, guiding them to the best places to find gold in the mines. Tony also emphasized the importance of building test holes, highlighting it as a crucial method to increase the chances of striking gold. Tony is respected not just for his successful mining career spanning decades, but also for the invaluable advice he gives on the show. Sure, he might be eccentric, but who cares? He gets the job done. It's evident that Tony is a miner who doesn't quit until he achieves his goal. This determination has been crucial to his success, and he'll need every ounce of it to overcome his current challenges. However, he might need to work on his approachability, given his reputation. Using petrol to set a body of water on fire isn't the best way to win friends in high places.
I'm gonna build an airstrip right beside the dredge. So then when you guys are nicely working away, eye in the sky on the way.
Despite paying about $31,000 in fines, individuals like Chris O'Doyle, a former producer of the show, have expressed dissatisfaction with dealing with Beets during their time on the show. But despite his rough exterior, Tony remains a beloved figure among fans, cast, and crew on the show. His tough personality is expected from a seasoned miner who has spent decades working in places like the Yukon Territory. Now circling back to the whole drama, Tony's got to remember the lessons from this whole ordeal, his water license being suspended for so long, and his reputation taking a hit in the environmental community. They're reminders that you gotta play by the rules no matter what. Since then, Tony Beets has had to take a more careful approach moving forward. Fans of Gold Rush are hopeful that in the upcoming seasons, he will not only get his water license back, but also rebuild his reputation as a responsible miner who respects both the rules and the environment. His legal battle is a strong reminder of how thin the line is between entertainment and doing what's right. As viewers enjoy watching miners on TV, it's important to remember the real-world impact of their actions. For Tony, that fiery stunt wasn't just a dramatic TV moment. It was a big turning point that changed his career and how he approaches mining. As the story keeps unfolding, both the gold mining community and its onlookers will be keeping a close eye, hoping for a comeback for Mr. Beets in the rugged lands of the Yukon. The guy, known for his grit and expertise in gold mining, has had quite the journey marked by sheer determination and remarkable accomplishments. Born on December 15, 1959, in Wijden, Netherlands, Tony's early years were all about hard work on the family farm. Moving to Burgert in 1966, where farming continued, laid the foundation for his strong work ethic. However, his life took a sharp turn in 1974 when a tragic accident left his father, Klaus Beets, disabled. At just 15 years old, Tony had to step up, managing the farm and leading workers much older than himself. This experience shaped him, instilling a robust work ethic and a drive to outshine even the most seasoned workers under his guidance. Seeking bigger opportunities, Tony and his then-girlfriend Minnie made the move to Canada in 1980. They first settled on a dairy farm near Salmon Arm in British Columbia. However, the allure of dairy farming soon faded, replaced by the thrill and potential rewards of gold mining. By 1984, the couple had shifted to Dawson City in the Yukon Territory, marking the start of Tony's mining journey. Though his early days in mining mostly involved operating machinery, Tony's persistence paid off big time. He eventually became one of the Klondike's most successful miners by 1994. He further solidified his position in the industry by establishing Tamarack Gold Resources Inc., which now operates multiple mines across Dawson, Perth, and Sudbury. His rise to mainstream fame coincided with the premiere of Gold Rush on the Discovery Channel on December 3, 2010. While the initial season focused on a single group of miners, Tony and several other key players joined the show in its second season in 2011. Since then, Tony has been a mainstay of the series, admired not only for his mining skills, but also for his strong work ethic and determination to succeed. Over the years, the miner has built up a substantial fortune and has been generous in giving back to the community, particularly supporting underprivileged groups. His dedication isn't just limited to his professional life. He's also celebrated as a devoted family man. And while challenges may arise during the show, his substantial net worth of about $15 million ensures he doesn't stay worried for long, even if he fails to acquire a water permit. Now, a significant portion of his wealth comes from mining, but his role in the gold rush also contributes substantially. It's estimated that he earns around $175,000 per episode for his charismatic and knowledgeable presence on screen. With such resources, he can spend time with his wife, Mimi, and their 4 children, all of whom are involved in the family business. It's interesting to consider the earnings of his family members from the show, particularly Kevin, who has been a consistent presence for several seasons. Even Tony's absence from the early stages of season 14 was short-lived, as he returned to the show by the season's end. Despite their success on the show, Tony and his family have diversified their investments beyond television. His ownership of Tamarack Mines, a copper mine in Osceola, Michigan, contributes significantly to his income. Analysis suggests that this Michigan-based mine, along with 18 other landholdings across the United States and Canada, earns him a combined $4.1 million annually. Not content with his mining ventures, Tony has diversified his portfolio with a $10 million real estate empire, comprising properties throughout North America. Among these holdings, the most valuable are a 2,500-acre property on the Yukon River valued at $1 million and ownership of the Scribner mining claim valued at $2 million. As of 2024, Tony Beets' net worth is estimated to be around $15 million. Known for his tough work ethic, strategic mining ventures, and charismatic, no-nonsense personality, Tony has not only gained fame, but has also amassed a significant fortune. Tony's fortune has also been greatly influenced by his role in the gold rush. Since joining the show in its second season in 2011, he has become one of its most recognizable and celebrated figures. The series, which follows the ups and downs of various family-run mining companies, hasn't just raised Tony Beets' profile, it's also been a significant source of income for him. He earns money through appearance fees and other related opportunities linked to the show. Besides the revenue from mining and TV gigs, Tony has diversified his income streams. Smart investments in real estate and mining equipment add to his financial stability. Plus, public appearances and endorsements bring in extra cash, showcasing his business savvy. Despite his impressive success, Tony's career has had its share of challenges, including legal issues and regulatory battles that sometimes get in the way of his operations. But despite all the challenges, his resilience and proactive approach have enabled him to not only maintain, but also grow his wealth over the years. Looking ahead, the miner seems set to continue his successful career in gold mining and television. He plans to expand his mining operations and keep his role on the gold rush. With this trajectory, his net worth is likely to keep climbing as he discovers more opportunities and continues to entertain and inspire his audience. Tony's net worth in 2024 is a testament to his hard work, strategic vision, and a touch of television magic. He's not just a successful miner, he's a multifaceted entrepreneur who knows how to turn gold into cash. Today, Tony remains a prominent figure on the gold rush, embodying the enduring spirit of those who dare to dream and work tirelessly to make those dreams a reality. His journey from a farm in the Netherlands to the gold-rich soils of the Yukon isn't just about becoming a successful miner. It's also a story of personal growth and community impact. As fans continue to follow his adventures on television, Tony's legacy as a miner and mentor in the industry only continues to grow.